Thanks for joining us again. Back to Bruce Willis, Jared. We haven't done Bruce for a little while, I don't think, have we?
I can't remember the last time.
I don't think we have. I don't think we've seen a lot of Bruce pictures recently. We've dredged up one of his lesser films, which is always... I think this is our standard, isn't it? Like, there could be a good one on offer, but we'll take the...
We'll skip
the
No, thank you.
Thanks. I want to watch the one that's left.
I don't want the filet mignon. I'll just have the fucking $5 lunch steak if you can. Thank you very much.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's how we operate these days.
Yep.
But so tonight we've got Striking Distance, 1993. You know what? Coming back to your rant about streaming, this is a Columbia Pictures movie with a big name star, and I could not find it anywhere unless I wanted to pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
And thank Christ it turned up on 7+.
Yeah.
Out of the blue.
For a week.
For a week.
Why is it on there for a week?
What are you trying to pull?
Yeah, bullshit.
Bullshit, but yeah.
Physical media is king for me.
Have you got Striking Distance in your collection?
I don't.
There you go.
But that's why. That's why I still buy stuff, right?
Yeah, true. It is true. Because you still can't get everything.
No.
All right.
Honestly, yeah, I've said it before, but you would think the 90s never existed if you went on to some streaming services. But
was the 90s a bad time for film?
I wouldn't have thought so. I don't know. Maybe
after watching Striking Distance, maybe they've got some merit. That's got merit.
Yeah, but it's just like, you know, trying to find some of the genre stuff from the 80s and 90s that we're interested in is like trying to find a fucking needle in a haystack.
Yeah,
sometimes.
that's true. That is true. All right. Before we get to that, Jared, what have you been watching? I've had a slim group.
Slim pickings.
Yeah, I watched Body Count, slasher movie, Italian slasher movie.
With the idea that we were going to be talking about it.
Correct.
But
so
then
I've
you
kind
yourself suggested maybe we shouldn't.
Well, let me put it to you this way. It wasn't good.
Yeah. Okay.
Charles Napier. He's a good actor. His performance is... I mean, to say it's sleepy is even giving him too much credit. It's an Italian film, so I think Charles was just over there having a holiday.
Possibly.
Someone said, I'll give you a few days.
Yep. It's
pretty shit house, it's pretty boring, and there's some unsolicited dick. One of the guys gets stripped down and pushed into the main house in the nude. And let me tell you, Jared, you know, I don't like to describe people's genitalia. You look like a bush with a guy sticking his head out. Right. Someone's sticking their head through it. Put it this way, Kevin Bacon was happy to have his cock out. This guy should not have been. He should have been just like, I need this cut.
Yeah. I need a contract. I need to see a contract.
But, you know, when you're making a slasher movie in 10 days in the Italian wilderness,
yeah,
this is what'll happen. I also watched the first episode of Poker Face. Mm-hmm. Good stuff. From Ryan Johnson. It had a Columbo vibe. You know how Columbo's episodes always kind of started with what happened? Mm-hmm. And then you just sort of saw how Columbo worked it out. Yeah. Because I kind of had a little bit of that about it. But it's good. It was good. Good first episode. And the last one we watched last night, it's not a genre film or anything, but it was called Luckiest Girl Alive with Mila Kunis. It was on Netflix. It's about a girl who survived a school shooting, and then when she was in high school, and then, you know, years later it sort of comes up again. There's all this sort of, you know, some people are saying she was involved and stuff like that. It was all right. It was just a little bit sluggish for me, and it was 2 hours long, and it shouldn't have been. It should have been about 90 minutes.
Right.
That was it. Very lean.
Lean. Very lean.
Lean.
All right. Well, I knocked over the Fantastic Beasts series.
You lost me at I knocked over Fantastic Beasts.
Number one. Yeah. Well,
that I was just...
Number one was, in my opinion, was the most enjoyable. 2 and 3, I was just like, God, what are we doing?
I didn't even know there was a third.
Yeah. There was 3. Yeah, I wasn't overly happy with it. I watched The Black Phone, finally.
Oh, great movie.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
You were unhappy with it?
I wouldn't say I was unhappy, but the things I found really good about it were a sort of story we've seen before, but nicely done.
Yeah.
Ethan Hawke, really cool. Like, I thought his performance again was kind of, creepy, a little bit. He was quite intimidating. But I just thought, once we got on the phone, which I thought again was a cool idea, I just thought it went exactly where you expected it to go, and it didn't really. I didn't think it threw too many curves into the mix late, and I felt like it kind of had to keep you on your toes a little bit. But yeah, I don't think it was a bad movie by any stretch. I quite enjoyed it. For me, it was another one in that tier of Blumhouse kind of
second tier,
solid fare that isn't quite pushing into classic territory by any means. So I then jumped onto a fairly new full moon feature.
Oh, for God's sake!
Sorority Babes in the Slimeball Bolorama 2.
Oh, have you seen the first one?
I have seen the first one. The first one was okay. But this one was... put it this way, Charlie Band, he's making them on the cheap, but this one was an hour long. So he's
so just getting the feature length, old Charlie.
Just getting there. Couldn't recommend it.
No. Well, I didn't need to be told by you. I don't need to have seen it to not recommend.
Oh, shit. I also watched Where the Crawdads Sing.
Interesting. Because I read the book.
Yep.
And I had a lot of problems with the book. But I heard that the movie irons out some of those issues.
I wouldn't say so. Again, middle tier. It's a story that's got, I feel like it's got some legs, but everything in it seems just a little half-baked. I didn't mind where the little bit of a twist to it, but yeah, I didn't feel that it was overly... I felt like it was kind of paint by numbers for some of that sort of stuff that we've seen before. Enjoyable enough, but...
I felt like the book was like trying to cover every base it could.
Yeah.
It's a romance, it's a, detective story, it's a this, it's a that.
Yes.
And the book was alright as far as being decently written. But also the romance, the romantic triangle, it sucks because one of them's an absolute fuckwit from minute one.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
We know that, oh shit, well, he's not going to be the guy he's going to end up with.
Yeah, well, it's sort of, but it's also...
Whereas to me, you don't go down, make him such a nasty bastard. Like, don't make him such a nasty bastard. Try and sort of...
Yeah, I think that was reasonably predictable in that sort of sense. I think the movie doesn't really go detective mode at all, which is good. It kind of plays it all out through the courtroom and flashback, and which isn't a bad way to go. But I just thought a lot of it was a bit lean. Because I think it stretched to 2 hours, and I was just kind of like, oh, I don't know if it needed to be.
Did you... also, I believe you told me that her hair should have probably been... disgusting.
Well, Adam,
and her odour probably should have been pretty rancid.
I read. I was sniffing around Letterboxd just to get an idea of what people sort of thought, and there was a one-line review that says, "I know she stank." I was kind of like, okay. And of course, as I said, being the classless idiot that I am, every time the bloke turned up, that was the first thing I thought. I'm like, I don't see running water.
Yeah.
The swamp doesn't smell nice.
She would have stank. like this is what I love about it. She is a fucking feral, and suddenly she's like, there's blokes lining up to date her.
Yep.
But she would have been a feral. Like, she just would have been. She didn't have any. Like, she wouldn't have even had basic skills, I would have thought.
No.
I mean,
feels like perhaps in terms of the movie especially, where there's not as much time to go into it, feels like perhaps it should have been that her dad left when she was a bit older.
Yeah.
So that some of that stuff was established, because they were asking questions. But yes, as I said, the swamp water must give your hair a natural bounce that... I don't know how she was cutting it, but...
Forgetting about Pantene, what you do is you dip your head in swamp water and you're probably going to be alright.
Yeah. Interesting enough. I also checked out the new Ant-Man.
I hear that's not good.
Yeah, I didn't love it. It was sort of kind of... The setup is supposedly, we're going somewhere that's just totally different to where we've been before, and then when you get there, it's the usual Marvel fare. Look, I love Jonathan Majors' work. He's just an actor at the moment that I'm
Creed 3.
happy to watch in just about anything. I can't wait for that. But he had some moments. He was okay, but it was just kind of just there. Just again, the thing went for 2 hours. I'm just like, why has 2 hours become the new 90 minutes? Because I didn't need to be in that cinema for 2 hours.
Well, for James Cameron, the new 90 minutes is 3 hours.
That's right. That's right. So, Jimmy Cameron, Jesus, for him, 2.5 hours is a fucking short film. But I think I think it's just suffers from. I think this is one of the ones where it suffers the worst from the fatigue of the whole thing, because honestly, there's a point where you get into a battle, and I'm just like, I don't want to sit through half an hour of this, and I know I'm going to have to, because it's just, we've seen this a million times, and I just don't want to see that.
I personally believe, and this is my personal opinion, okay, they should have shut things down after Avengers Endgame for a while. Because, quite frankly, Jared, there is more and more of that shit, and people have just got tired of it.
Yeah,
it's just there's a movie every 6 months. There's a TV show every fucking 3 months.
Well, I think they're pulling back a bit.
They got to, because
pulling back. But
I think people are getting sick of this crap.
There has been good stuff after that. There's been some.
Oh yeah.
There's been more misfires, but there's still been some good stuff. And the TV, some of the TV they've put together is actually some of the.
Well, they should have downgraded to TV for a little bit to establish some characters, and then come back onto the screen. Because I mean, do we really need to see Ant-Man? Like fucking 3 movies of Ant-Man?
Well, the other thing too is like it should be, and it the first ones of Ant-Man did play a little bit different, where it was the quirky Paul Rudd, a bit of comedy. They still try for a bit of that, and you get a few laughs out of it. But I just the story in this one was like I couldn't find myself caring much for it. And like I said, I just don't know why it needed to be. It doesn't need to be 2 hours.
Yeah.
You can wrap up an Ant-Man movie in 90 minutes and I'll be totally happy. You can cut out some of that bullshit with the fucking raging battles that I didn't really want to see, and stick with more of the Jonathan Majors and Paul Rudd. And I'm happy. Like, I don't...
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's... Who knows? I'm still looking forward to some of the stuff they've got up there, but just the standard Marvel movie now, I just find myself kind of not as excited for everything. No. I'm more hit the point where I'm excited about particular ones, and I did have a stretch of time where it was like they're on a bit of a heater. I'm excited for whatever they're doing because they're going to mix a few characters into it. Now I just find they're trying to overstuff them and whatnot. But anyway,
that's what it is. What it is, I guess.
It is.
I mean, why mess with a formula that seems to make a lot of money?
Well, that's right. That's why it wasn't going to change.
That's why they're in business, mate. They're in business to make money. So, I see it.
Yep. The last 2 I had were TV affairs. I started watching Wreck on ABC, which is the sort of the slasher set on a cruise ship.
Yes.
Yeah, with the big duck.
Is that a British one?
Yes.
Was it any good?
First episode was alright. Interesting. It's all going to hinge on where it's going. At the moment, it's okay. The setup is okay. They're mixing a bit of comedy in with the mystery, which I'm happy enough with.
Yeah.
So yeah, hard to judge. The first episode was about 45 minutes. So I think it's a 6-episode season. So
okay, good.
But so far, yeah, I would say I'm happy to stick with it. And the last one, I kicked off Tales from the Territories.
Oh yeah, the wrestling show.
Yeah, so it's essentially the same people that made Dark Side of the Ring, but tied up with the Rock's production company. And it's the same sort of setup. They do flashbacks in an identical fashion, but it's pre-WWF getting together and kind of ruining the whole territory system. And it kind of goes to each territory and picks out a bunch of the main players and puts them around a table and tell some stories.
Yeah.
So from that sense, it's a little more up and down. Some of the stories don't kind of nail, aren't as good as they're not as engaging. But then other stories are absolute belters. Yeah. There's a couple in the first episode, including one about Macho Man Randy Savage getting in a punch up in a diner. That was an absolute belter. Yeah. And the second episode was completely based around Andy Kaufman and Jerry Lawler. And that was excellent. Third episode is another one of the territories. I can't remember which one it was, but it was the Ganji family. And it had some I mean, they told some stories involving Mad Dog Vachon and Bobby the Brain Heenan and stuff like that were, again, some cracking stories in there. So far, really enjoying it.
Okay, good. I'm going to have to check that out because I enjoyed Dark Side of the Ring.
Definitely.
All right, let's take a break, Jared. Here's the trailer for 1993's Striking Distance.
Dead body in the water. We fished it out. Victim's name is Cheryl Putnam. The body was dumped upriver late last night. Whoever killed her hung on to her for a while before he mailed her.
How do you know?
I used to be a homicide detective.
Detective Thomas Hardy.
Tom Hardy? You're famous, man.
Infamous. Was once the most decorated officer on the Pittsburgh police force.
But you're a talented guy. You can be anything you want to be.
I like my life just the way it is, Pop.
Until he broke rank.
Loyalty above all else, except honor.
And told the truth.
It was a Pittsburgh cop that killed these girls. Just ask these guys.
Now,
I got you this job after they took your shield.
River Rescue 9221. This is Bates. Hardy, please come in.
9221, guy.
he's got a new assignment.
And Shark.
A new partner.
Hi, it's nice to meet you.
I never had a woman partner before.
Neither have I.
And a river full of dead bodies.
We're in pursuit of a murder suspect, may be armed and dangerous.
This is not your case. You understand me?
They should have never put him in the water if they didn't want him to make waves.
How many men upstairs? Let me rephrase that.
Officer Hardy was not out of control and dangerous.
Puts the bodies in the river so I'll find them, Nick.
He wants me to find these girls.
Bruce Willis.
You just won't let go, will you?
Hurry, behind you!
Sarah Jessica Parker.
Thank you.
No, I should definitely be thanking you.
You know, I just thought of a way that I could probably thank you.
Boy, you gotta be so careful in this life, Tommy. Very careful.
Stop now!
Striking Distance.
Striking Distance, 1993, directed by Rowdy Harrington, who directed Roadhouse, possibly the best name in the business, I think. Produced by Arnon Milchan, who produced The Lighthouse, Hunt Lowry, who produced Deep Blue Sea 3, and Tony Tomopoulos. Written by Rowdy Harrington and Marty Kaplan, who wrote The Distinguished Gentleman. It stars Bruce Willis as Tom Hardy, Sarah Jessica Parker as Joe Crispin, Dennis Farina as Nick Datillo, and Tom Sizemore as Danny Datillo. The budget was $30 million. The box office was $24 million. Now, I've got a piece of trivia. It's long, so bear with me. But I think it, and again, it came off Internet Movie Database, so grain of salt. But I think it sort of showcases when you throw your weight around a bit too much. This is the sort of shit that happens.
Okay.
Right? Rock.
Can't wait.
The Rock. Take heed. Learn some lessons here, mate. So the movie was filmed in 13 weeks in the summer of 1992 in Pittsburgh. Its working title was Three Rivers. And it was scheduled to be released in May of 93. But after the original cut was shown to a test audience, they hated it. And extensive reshoots were done in Los Angeles. Story changes and the removal of some plot points were done to make the movie better. Because of this, the release date was pushed back from May to September of 93. According to articles and reports at the time, the test audience hated the initial cut of the film because of confusing parts of the story, parts which were added into director Rowdy Harrington and Marty Kaplan's original script by Bruce Willis. One source mentioned how the original cut was like Hudson Hawk without the laughs.
Good.
One of the veteran production members said that Willis called the shots like he did on Hawk and like he used to do on Moonlighting. He had scenes rewritten, he did whatever he wanted to do. We were working with Orson Willis. Good. That is a cracker. Yeah. So Orson Willis is putting whatever he likes in the script. Now, word to Bruce, You just came off Hudson Hawk and Bonfire of the Vanities, the two biggest flops of your career. When I get a script, I go, yes, sir. I don't change a thing after that.
Again, I don't understand. Oh, we've picked up a script, or we've got a script here that we think is good. Excellent. I'll just go and rewrite 3/4 of it.
Yeah. But there's more, Darren. But there's more. When news about reshoots were reported, Columbia chairman Mark Canton said in an interview that he couldn't be more enthusiastic about the film and predicted it being a beyond sizable hit. But to do so, the movie had to make $30 million plus to turn a profit. Canton was known for being heavily involved in several other films in earlier years that were known for having very troubled productions, including Wes Craven's Deadly Friend, Bonfire of the Vanities, and John McTiernan's Last Action Hero. Yeah. I actually had a book by him, another one of these fucking penises who clearly ready to jump onto anything that's a good film and say, oh, my involvement was huge.
Yep.
But then quick to distance themselves at anything that was a piece of shit.
Yep.
Just like he did with those films, Canton also kept from the public the news and rumours about problems on the sets and bad responses from test audiences and demanded heavy changes. In Striking Distance, for example, all the love/intimate scenes between Hardy and Joe were reshot to make them sexier. Failure. Reshoots were fucked as well.
Oh, what's going on here?
Imagine
did they just add that saxophone that was kind of...
Do you know what, Jared? Could you imagine what the scene would have been pre that? If that was considered sexy? God almighty. Several dialogue scenes, like the scene in the bar between Hardy and Datillo, were also cut to make the film quicker paced. The change in tone also made Columbia change the title from Three Rivers to Striking Distance. Striking Distance is a much better title.
Yes.
And it's a fantastic title. Also has one of my favourite taglines. You shouldn't have put him in the water if you didn't want him to make waves. Brilliant. I mean, to me, with the poster, you're fucking batting 3 for 3 before you even go in the cinemas. Okay, so they focused on the action thriller elements. And although it was his interference in the script and huge ego during filming that were the cause of problems with the production and the original cut, Willis was angry because he had to return for reshoots.
That's not surprising.
He was so angry that
Bruce was known as a calm, gentle soul before all this, you know.
Yeah, exactly. He was so angry that he blamed Harrington for it, despite the fact that Harrington defended Willis in interviews regarding the issues with the film.
Good.
Like, you know what? If I'm Harrington and we're doing reshoots, and he comes back with that attitude, I'm just fronting him and saying, "Fuck you." You either do what you're supposed to do or you fuck off, basically.
And then you're sent packing while the
so what?
Yeah.
So what?
Yeah,
like,
you pay me, and I'll go and do something else.
And then I'll tell you to fuck off because you're being an asshole.
So you see, what I would do is I'd get through the reshoots and then I'd be spiteful and go into the media and tell everyone that Bruce Willis was an asshole.
Absolute cunt, I would have said. and I mean, look, yeah. It's no excuse. His behaviour is no excuse, even though just recently... even a couple of days ago, the diagnosis now is that he's got dementia.
Yeah,
so, unfortunately.
I mean, look, that doesn't change.
Yeah.
The fact that the guy had a difficult reputation.
He did.
And I don't think. I mean, even in media thing, there was countless things of him just being dismissive and rude in interviews and stuff like that. And I can understand they're long days and stuff, but it's a small price of your massive. It's part of the gig, right?
Yes.
Like, you don't see Hugh Jackman telling people to piss off and things like that.
I know. And look, it's a problem when you were paying people $20 million and you were giving them way too much room to move.
Yep.
You know? And there's not that many producers or directors where they could just tell you, I'm running this show.
No.
You don't tell me how it's going to happen.
If James Cameron was directing Striking
Distance, mate, I tell you what,
it'd be an hour longer.
Bruce would have been fucked. He would have been sent packing.
Yeah.
Like, Cameron wouldn't have put up with that bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
He would have just basically told him, it's my way or it's fucking out of here.
Yep.
And, you know, someone like Spielberg, nobody does that shit to him.
No.
Right? Harrington didn't have a large...
Steven Spielberg, Rowdy Harrington.
I know.
Apples and apples.
Well, one's a pig lady and one's a Gary Smith. I mean, they're in the same box. But the problem is, Harrington did not have enough pull. It's the same shit that you saw with people like Val Kilmer.
Yeah.
Getting away with that sort of bullshit.
Yep.
And that dismissive and difficult behaviour because you didn't have directors who told him where it was.
Yeah.
You
and
know?
I mean, we've seen a bit of that now after watching that doco about the island of Dr. Moreau. You've actually you see a bit of that, and watching his own doco, you see a bit of his kind of combative sort of nature. And
you hear these stories, and again, this is slightly off the Bruce Willis and the striking distance mode, but you hear these stories about how he was fucking combative over things like Dr. Moreau, and he was very difficult and all that. And then he gets on the set of something like Ghost in the Darkness, where he's working with a big name like Michael Douglas, who just puts him in line.
Yeah.
You know, he follows the leader. You know, the leader does, Michael Douglas does the right thing.
Yes.
And so Kilmer goes along.
Yep.
Right? The problem with something like Striking Distance is you're talking about a $30 million picture. You've had 2 flops in the lead up. I think you work with the director, don't you? You work with him. You try and make the best picture that you can make.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like, as you said, ego. A lot of these guys in that position at that point were thought they were so big that they would probably just say, no. The thinking in their mind is, no. I fix this by just taking charge.
And
because I am
the reason why people are going to see this.
Exactly.
And they'll turn up in droves where there's people police support.
I'll start rewriting the sex scenes to make them sexier. I mean, that's the last thing I'm doing.
Oh, yeah, shit, yeah. I'm going, let's cut that out. No one needs to see me trying to get sexy.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into it. Sorry, that was lengthy discussion time, but I think worthwhile because it was an interesting glimpse at how the picture kind of fell apart. And I think we'll see some of that in how we feel about it. I gave it 2.5. It's entertaining, but forgettable. And part of the problem is that it kind of doesn't quite find its focus. It doesn't quite focus on what it wants to be. It's part thriller, part action, Bruce Willis action movie. It tries to cram a lot in, and I don't know whether it's successful in what it does. It overstuffs. I will say this,
Double-stuffs?
It double stuffs, all right. I will say this, though. The cast is fucking deep.
Yeah, it is.
I forgot how deep the cast is and how good it is. So, big tick for that. But yeah, there's just something missing. And, I mean, there's exposition stuff where I'm just like, oh my God. Who did that? You know, like, Bruce. But also some of the dialogue's tragic. Like, it's shit house.
Yeah.
And it brings it undone. But I gave it 2.5. I was almost at a 3. Jared, I was close because there's entertaining stuff in it.
I was at a 3 for about 10 minutes.
And then you went downhill?
I went downhill. No, I went 2.5 as well. The initial setup is solid. Like, I was starting at, probably 20 minutes in, I was thinking, are we in kind of territory where we've just forgotten that this one was actually all right? And then I was quickly reminded, no, it's not all right. I think what happens is it seems like the first act setup, and as you kind of mentioned, stuff about, his involvement with his cousins in the police and like his family in the police force and everything is pretty solid, pretty good. It seems like it's the second act where we just kind of get lost and we get caught up in here's your new partner and all this sort of stuff. And we forget that, like, from that point on, there's not a whole lot of new stuff coming out about the killings. Like, for a long time, it's just, here's these 3 girls that have died and he happens to know them all.
Yeah.
But we don't extend much further than that. So it kind of, got a bit sluggish and a bit meandered a little bit in the middle, and it never really recovered from that point. But as you said, it's got some really good actors in it, which always, you get a couple of minutes worth of good material from certain parties.
Definitely.
So,
straight out of the gate with the likes, you got Willis, Sarah Jessica Parker, Dennis Farina, Tom Sizemore, John Mahoney, Brian James, Tom Atkins, Timothy Busfield, Andre Braugher. Like, That's deep.
Murderer's Row.
Murderer's Row.
Shit actors. no. Good.
All sort of good character actors.
Yes.
And this is the thing. The ingredients, a big star with a heap of good character actors.
Yeah.
That's how you do it.
Yeah, I thought it was wonderful to see the bloke that you modelled your whole kind of drip around at him, the Timothy Busfield haircut, and he seemed to have his boat shoes on in this one.
Well, I'm going to say, Timothy, don't skip leg day, because Timothy's cracking some pretty skinny pins there.
Also, Tommy Cruise has got a tanning person that you can talk to.
Oh, yeah.
Just tell him to turn the gun down 1 or 2 notches.
Tommy's got an overzealous tanning guy.
Who would suit him perfectly.
I noticed he still had that fucking bullshit hairdo that I had. Yeah. This is Strike 93.
That was right when you were looking at it going, maybe I'll dip into Just Cuts and ask if they can give me the Busfields.
A couple of years later, he was using it to summer claim in trucks.
Oh, wow. Yeah. As you said, we've got a couple of old campaigners in Dennis Farina and Brian James tossing their weight around.
Brian James, I've got a couple of high-quality likes of the shit he gives Hardy.
Yes.
He gives a couple of absolute corkers out.
Well, yeah, I thought, this is the sort of role that he kind of lived on. That was his whole shtick. But I feel like in this,
I wish there was a Cockney accent.
Yeah, if only he could have been the bloke who'd come over from the British.
And
swap some pointers. But I kind of enjoyed that he spent his whole time in this movie. It seemed like Willis would come in and Brian James would be kind of smiling and smirking and toss out an insult, and then Willis would volley back and James would just blow his stack. You fucking arsehole! Every time.
Yeah, Willis would parry with what I would call a probably second tier line, and James would take the bait and go, you fucking
Willis wasn't hitting any winners. It was just kind of like, we're just going to go back and forth.
Yeah, he's getting back the serve, like he was just going boom.
Yeah, return the serve, and then James would just start flying off the handle. I was loving it.
In tennis terms, he did it straight into the net.
Correct. Hit it into the net, trip over his own feet, break his racket.
But he does have a couple of world-class lines when he fucking tells him when Willis turns up when the guy's going to jump off the bridge, Jimmy, and Willis turns up and fucking James goes, what are you doing here? You going to push him?
Yeah.
That's an absolute cracker.
With what was coming later, though, I was half expecting Willis to go, no, you are. And James to go, a remonstrate.
Don't tell me what I'm going to fucking do. Oh, shit. Sorry. Use of the song Little Red Riding Hood.
Yep.
Really nice touch. Kind of creepy. And worked in quite well in a couple of moments. The opening sequence is really cool with the little police car.
Yes.
And then he plays it down the phone.
Yep.
And then we get it later when he rings Willis.
Yep.
I really liked it. I forgot about that bit, and I was kind of like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it added a little bit of kind of... It was one of the few times where there was a little bit of a scare, a little bit eerie in amongst the thriller sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I also thought having all the stuff about his family and him rolling over on his cousin while this stuff was going on, I thought that was pretty solid. Like that he was in the midst of all that whilst this whole thing about
Polish Hill was happening.
Yeah.
That stuff was gold, I thought. The stuff about him, like, again, one of the luxuries of having Willis when he's not rewriting his shit is that he's willing to play that down on his luck, less superhuman hero. He's playing the guy that is a rat. And everyone hates him.
Playing a guy with a busted leg who seems to, when it's required, seems to kind
run like a fucking gazelle.
It seems to move on it pretty freely.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what I mean? Like, he's willing to play that guy who is fallible.
Yes.
So that the whole idea that he turned over.
Yep.
Even though, in a normal person's mind, Well, he turned over and he should have. The guy beat the shit out of someone for no reason.
That's what was good at the start. Is you've got this uneasy kind of relationship with Dennis Farina as his uncle, because it seems there's this acknowledgement that he kind of did the right thing.
Yeah.
When you see him with the beat cops, I mean, every single one of them is just like treating him like he's got the plague or something.
Yeah.
They're just kind of avoiding him, and every time he walks into a room, they're kind of staring at him, and James is there kind of sneering, but
they probably lather it on too thick.
Yeah, they do with the extras, I guess, that the beat cops that are around, and they definitely lay it on too thick. James, I could have copped, but it could have been one or two of them kind of, Hardy, how you going?
Yeah,
or a couple of others kind of walk away or whatever. But
we only needed one scene like that. We understand the guy's a bit of a leper.
Yeah, exactly. But with the interactions with Farina and that, I mean, it doesn't work all that well, but there's times when it is kind of cool that you get this acknowledgement that, hey, his son was doing the wrong thing, but he's still fucking dirty at him because he's your partner, like he's your family, and you're rolled over. He's in this kind of catch-22 situation that he did the right thing, but it fucked up his relationship with his family and his
career.
And his career. So, yeah, I thought that setup was really interesting.
Yeah, and I agree. I think that's actually the solid stuff. And I'm going to toss it out there, and I said this to you pre getting here. I feel this would be right for a remake. The ingredients are there.
Mm.
It has the right sort of setup for a kind of an interesting thriller.
Yep.
It just gets botched, as we'll go into, and as we pointed out, there was a little bit of too many cooks in the kitchen for it.
Definitely.
I mean, Rowdy's probably still ruining the fact that, he let Willis near it.
Mm. Yeah, Willis came in with a fucking bag of salt and a couple of other herbs.
Yeah.
In
No, Bruce, no, don't put that shit in there.
Yeah.
The opening car chase, excellent. Surprisingly so.
Mm.
Like, I remember it and remember thinking to myself, it's not bad. It's not too bad. But it's really well directed and it's quite exciting.
Also a crafty way to kind of develop a bit of the relationship between Willis and his dad.
Yep.
And show you the type of cop that Willis is. Like, you get this sense that he's done it all and seen it all just by the fact that they're flying through traffic at 1,000,000 miles an hour, but just holding this conversation about what's going on.
Yeah.
I thought that was awesome. Yeah.
And I love that sequence of where they're all going over the bumps at the same time.
Yeah. I thought that at that point we were starting to get a little bit...
Yeah, we're getting a little bit heavy, but I thought it was cool.
That's where we were heading to Roadhouse territory.
Not quite. No one's been ripped out yet. Come on.
That was...
Really, really good. That was actually quite
funny.
exciting.
That was quite funny.
I
forgot to mention too that they... I did get a chuckle where they... a couple of the cars seem to crash, and then you see Willis and his dad drive past it. It seems to be a fucking 14-car pile-up and a bus.
They're really...
Everything's going on. But yes, overall, that sequence was very, very exciting.
Yeah, I agree. I did like that, even though you can't buy it later on, where Farina's going, there's no connection between Polish Hill and this current group of murders. There's no connection.
Yeah.
You would have probably come to the connection, but I like that the murderer changes their MO.
Yeah.
From strangulation to shooting.
There's something that really puts a negative spin on that from the get-go, but yeah.
At least he's changing the MO.
Correct.
So it's not guaranteed as Polish Hill. And it means that Willis feels like he's onto it.
Yeah.
But James, correctly so, would be saying, well, fuck you.
What the fuck do you know? Get back on your boat.
But while he's screaming at him, he then says, well, the Polish Hill murders were strangulations. So they're different.
Yeah.
Understood. But I also, the negative to that is I feel like, he's dumping him in the river.
Mm.
It's the same, really.
Yeah.
So,
well, yeah, but you're right, that because there's some slight differences, there's enough for it to kind of go in that direction, that you believe that there would be a division between what people might think about it.
Yeah. And no definite connection. Like, you can't be saying, well, it's definitely Polish Hill.
Yeah.
So I kind of dug on that. The little action scene on the hijacked barge,
Yeah.
reasonably nifty.
Reasonably nifty.
Nothing explosive about it or super exciting,
Yeah.
but it works well.
Yeah.
And again, it shows, I think it also builds a trust between him and Crispin.
Yes. Although it just seemed out of nowhere.
Yeah, it does. It just kind of comes
out of nowhere, and here we're on. Action hero Willis is here.
And I think that's where some of the issues pop up. Even though the scene's decent, it's an action scene being shoehorned into a thriller.
It did feel like that.
You're just trying to show us that Willis is an action hero, instead of saying, well, we're not trading on his action hero status here. We're trading on it's a thriller.
Yeah.
It's a scary thriller.
Yep.
So, but I felt like it was serviceable.
Indeed. Willis also has a cracking action line. Cracking action hero kind of...
Was it the,
don't give a
how many
fuck
men
line.
upstairs?
No, about the old Irish saying, never listen to old Italian saying.
Yeah,
that's what Farida tells you about.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that was classic. That was John McClane type Bruce Willis. A little hint of that.
I also didn't mind her saying, I've never worked with a female cop, and she's like, neither have I.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of amusing.
That was pretty funny, yeah.
Now, I like the idea of Willis being, it's a cop. A cop did this. The cop's doing these murders.
Yep.
But in the early stages, he kept just saying it's a cop. And there was
Yes.
never any kind of evidence to say it was a cop. But then they show that Brower shows her the news story.
Yeah.
Where he says a police issue taser was used. Phone calls for several of the murders were made from police call boxes. Murders were committed in a place where police response time was low. You know, so it's like there's a bit of credence to what he's trying to say.
Yes.
They add some credence to it. Should have been brought in earlier.
Yeah, I think... Well, yeah, maybe just a little touch more before that, and we're kind of rolling.
In fact, he should have explained it to Crispin.
Yeah, because for a long time there was some missing in that regard.
Well, it makes no sense. Like, if you're just here going, it's a cop, it's a cop, it's a cop,
Yeah.
but you're giving me nothing.
Well, it feels like he should have given someone in the police something and been ignored because of the his status at that time, that no one wanted a bar of him. I mean, give it to Brian James to have him palm it off.
Yeah, he would take it and immediately put it in the bin.
Yeah, correct. So it feels like perhaps they could have played with that a little bit before it gets to...
Yeah.
As you said, I enjoyed the way they kind of showed the flashback of him outside the courthouse fucking firing up and kind of laying his case out, basically.
I think that stuff was good. It showcased that he did have some kind of credence.
Well, he had some idea what he was doing. Seemed like for the rest of the movie he was just fucking around on the boat and knocking people off.
I don't know about you, mate, but if someone says they busted me down at Water Patrol, I'm going, thank you.
Yeah. Can I pack a fishing rod?
Yeah, can I pack a fishing rod? Secondly, I'm going to be tanned to shit. I'm going to look like Tom Cruise.
Yeah, unless you're Busfield, who somehow manages to be as white as rice whilst working out on the water. How does that happen?
Yeah. Even though the sun is fucking reflecting off the water in your face, you're still the whitest man on earth. Tommy Atkins.
Tom Atkins popping up. The funniest thing though is he kind of takes Willis aside and goes, "Don't fuck her." And the first thing I thought was, Tom, you're not taking your own advice.
Yeah.
The very first thing you do is you roll out with a 6-pack of cans. So, go for a drive.
Shoot over to the navel going, so who's coming with me?
Yeah. I was expecting...
you to say, don't fuck it, because I am.
That's right. There was a cut line saying, I'm planning on doing that, so you just... Just hold it.
You holster your weapon. Holster your weapon, son.
Yeah, I thought there was probably a better... I mean, Busfield was probably better in the role of telling someone, don't fuck her. Like, Tommy Atkins.
That's where Willis laughs again.
Yeah. We've seen you, Dr. Chalice.
I love the fact that Atkins is there. I also love that he stands by while they have a fucking punch up.
Yeah.
Policeman's ball.
And again, Brian James finds the perfect opportunity to get onto Willis, who at that point is only trying to break up the fight. He comes in, pushes him, lays one on the beak.
Tears his shirt off.
You've been waiting to do that for years, you bastard.
But you know what? fucking calm down. Like, you started this.
Yeah.
You're saying that Willis is a rummy, but
you're the one that kicked it off. Yeah, that was quite amusing.
Keep
I think
powdered
the more I
dry.
talk about it, Brian Jones was my fucking favourite thing in this movie by a long stretch.
Honestly, mate, take it easy. I mean, I should have seen this coming, and I have seen the movie repeated times, and I still forgot. But the fact that Crispin was IA,
Yeah.
and looking into him, it was a nice twist. It was a nice little twist.
Yes.
It was not expected.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think as an audience member, you're looking for the twist as to who the killer is.
Yeah,
You're not interested as to how hard he's being looked after.
Yep.
Admittedly, if I'm fucking Willis and she dogs me on the stand, I'm not talking to her.
Hey, but she backed him up.
Yeah, but she backed him up, but that's horse shit. She's still fucking... she's still out to get him. Like,
Yeah,
honestly...
I find the most unbelievable part is that she kind of flipped on it because she fell for the bloke.
I mean,
I'm
what?
sorry.
She fell for the guy who drinks a litre of rum every day and lives on a houseboat.
Yep. And is clearly unstable.
Yeah.
Threatening people with his gun. Like, why does he still have a gun?
Well, he's on the water, mate. He's
I
on
know,
the water.
but he's... I mean, you're being busted down. You're barely able to flash your badge. You're not even getting... He's been kicked off the force.
You're being psychologically evaluated.
Brian James was assessing the situation to get rid of the bloke.
The problem is, so is Brian James.
Yeah, correct. He should be holding any position of power.
The jump scare when the killer grabs Emily in her apartment, it got me.
Yeah, pretty good.
Didn't see it coming at all. Again, seen this movie 3 times or 4 times and still didn't see it coming. But it got me, and actually genuinely, because she moves into a position where it works perfectly as he pops out.
I'll just say, you're kicking me for watching Full Moon Features, and you've just said you've watched this movie 3 to 4 times in your life.
Yeah, I have. I saw it in the cinemas. I paid for it on Apple.
God.
One time.
What is wrong with you?
I don't know. I think I might have had it on DVD at one point.
Sure you didn't purchase it by accident?
Oh, no, I didn't purchase it. The fact that Farina, spoilers, killed Hardy's father.
Yep.
Accidentally, essentially, but basically because Hardy's father was going to shoot his son.
Yeah.
And that would have given the game up.
Yep.
I like that.
Yeah, it was cool.
I felt like it was a cool way to kind of... It wasn't just that Farina turned around and shot him.
It was one of the good points that in an ending that kind of turns to mush.
Yeah. It doesn't what? Fucking hell.
Yeah.
The ending's a disaster.
And I think it comes back to a little bit of, you get the strong performers in those roles. The likes of Farina sell that stuff for a couple of minutes while they're kind of trying to save this ship from sinking.
Correct.
For a couple of minutes there, Farina's got his bucket and he's working overtime.
He is funny. He's bailing like you wouldn't believe, the big fella.
Yeah.
And the last one for me is, I thought the boat chase was reasonably solid. And it was something different, as opposed to your classic car chase.
Well, it felt like a natural way to end it, right? Yep. You had them on the water. That's what you wanted, right? And it was pretty good fun.
Yeah, decent. I do like that flying off the end of whatever the hell that thing was. It's kind of like a jump.
Yep.
Did you have anything else?
No, that was everything.
All right, straight into the dislikes.
Yep.
The way they show that they fingered Kessler, just fucking walking through the courthouse in front of everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, Willis knows nothing of this.
No.
He knows nothing of Kessler. And and as he says, rightfully, he couldn't even lift the bodies into the water. Look at him.
And this was one of my... from the get-go, you fucking undersell this point of the film when you roll a bloke in who looks like he's walking around into the courthouse looking around like he's puzzled and he doesn't know what's going on. And he's like... It makes it look kind of ridiculous. You roll him out and he's looking around going, ha ha, and then you roll in a bloke behind him who looks like the scummiest person
looks
you
like
possibly
Andrew
find.
WK.
Yeah. And then immediately you're just in your head, you're going, okay, so this guy's the patsy and this guy's fucking been paid to roll over on him or something. But the way that they play that out, I mean, you're going to get to that anyway, and the idea is that you get to that easily, but it made it look ridiculous.
Yeah.
It was comical.
It needed to be played out in the news reports, sort of like what Scream did with Cotton Weary. Is that we never actually saw Cotton Weary. We saw him on the news being taken into the police car.
Yeah.
This needed to be played out.
Yeah.
That Kessler is a suspect based on this, and he will be in court.
I mean, the way Kessler looked when they walked him in, I'm surprised he could tell them what his fucking name was. He was looking around like...
But the other problem with it all was they were there to be a witness at the excessive force trial.
Yeah.
So what the fuck's Kessler doing there at the same time? It makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah. Yeah, the only thing I mean, I don't think it would have been too badly impacted if you had a bloke coming in that didn't look like he'd just been fucking picked up off the street and told to roll over on this guy, and I couldn't, looking at those two people, I couldn't not look at it and say this feels ridiculous. And like as I said, you knew where that was going, and that's fine for the story. That's okay, but
you needed to do it a different way. So
you need to play it something so it doesn't look so silly on the screen, I guess.
Yeah.
I have to say, straight out of the blocks, a killer fucking fart-assing around with a remote control car just doesn't fit. It's stupid. It seemed like the whole point of that was to start filming the movie like we thought this was a cop car that we're following, and then we quickly learn it's a remote control car. Yeah. But then we keep it up.
Yeah,
we
true.
do it a couple more times. I was just like, no, I'm done with this after the first time. It was, I felt it was silly. Because you already had that quirky kind of, he's playing the song, and he's playing the song down the phone to Willis and stuff like that. You don't need the RC car for mine.
Yeah, you probably didn't. And I'm going to say this, because, again, spoilers. Jimmy, his partner, played by Robert Pastorelli, his fucking ham is way too much.
His performance is off the charts.
It's off the chain. It doesn't take more than 2 seconds to realise this guy's the guy.
Yeah.
The moment he starts carrying on when he's about to jump...
Well... Yeah.
Who's the best cop? Who's the best cop? I mean, I would have killed him.
Why does he keep saying that? But you, so I didn't go to him because, as you said,
it felt too much.
Well, that's exactly right. I was kind of looking at it going, okay, so you see him jump off the bridge, surely they're not going to pull he survived and it's him.
They do put in that line about Mum jumped off this bridge and they never found her.
Yeah.
They put that in beforehand.
Yes. But I thought they're not going to go with this, are they? And then, as you said, they did, and it was...
He was just so over the top.
He was. I think maybe, a better actor might have made it come off a little better.
Maybe.
He was just too... I mean, honestly, it felt like Maniac Cop. That's when I got there. I'm like, we're in the kind of maniac cop territory.
Would you say that Robert Azar would have done a better job?
Judging by Maniac Cop,
Pastorelli's just going off. He's just way too high, mate.
Yeah.
He's on something, the big boy.
And again, who's the best cop? And
I know that it's used for a final sort of sting line at the end, but it doesn't matter. He's just continually doing that and saying it.
Yeah.
And it's clear he's not the best cop. He's beating people up.
No, that's right. I'm not the one that got taken in for police brutality.
Oh, yeah, God. One of my least favourite exposition pieces was we get the Willis holding a picture of him and the flight steward, and then it cuts straight to the TV and hers the exact same picture.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, let's, I mean, you could have had a picture of her with Willis where she wasn't in the fucking stewardess uniform.
It looks like a Santa photo.
It did.
She's sitting on Willis's lap.
Oh, man. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, that was pretty bad.
It's just so obvious. And again, we didn't need that because Brian James later on says to Farina in a loud,
obnoxious manner.
He remonstrates about it.
Yeah.
He says to Farina that guess who was fucking her?
Yeah, yeah.
You know? Hardy. Hardy was fucking everybody, mate, so it would seem.
And I think it's not long after that he kind of tosses a line about that. Then, again, Willis volleys and then James is off again. James watched that tennis match all fucking movie.
James has got anger issues. He needs to sort himself out.
He does.
Because he goes off at the drop of a hat.
He does. Adam, one of my favourite parts, and not in a good way, was during the chase sequence when one of the cop cars flips over in the tunnel.
It blows up.
He goes, and then he goes, poof, and then you have 3 to 4 cop cars just fucking fly past. Barely a care in the world until I think it might be Willis's dad just kind of goes, oh, ambulance in the tunnel. Fucking hell. Of course, the car had to be fucking, it was a Craig Baxley kind of inspired effort on the car.
Oh, yeah. That car had C4 in the boot.
Yeah, exactly. I'm still not sure how that happened when the car got hit in the side.
From my understanding, in the 90s, police cars had large fuel tanks that exploded on command.
I think they were painted with petrol or something. Boom.
A wetsuit with breast paddings in it. And he makes some kind of line about, I can't remember what the line was, but I'm just slapping my head thinking, what are we doing? Why are we doing this?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, it's a woman. Yes.
yeah. She's going in the water. Fuck me. Oh, Jesus,
fellas. Let's get our fucking head around it.
Yeah.
And then Brian James proceeds to stand over a corpse and tell Willis, you want to give her another one? Jesus. And I believe Willis volleys a little more strongly with, that's what I should fucking pop you in the mouth, you dickhead, or something. He's like, what the fuck? And he goes right off his stick again.
It's so funny because James's face, like, he's just got this face that always screams coiled spring, and he plays it just like that. He gets that kind of, he's kind of, you can imagine him doing everything but nudging his partner going, hey, have a listen to this one, and then throwing it at Willis, and then 2 seconds later when he gets on back, he's
you just know what was going on though. Willis was constantly going, just watch this on.
Yeah.
This guy up.
This guy, he takes the bait every time. I don't even have to say
that could have been
anything
a
witty.
piss funny gag they could have had.
Yeah.
He could have been saying to Crispin, check this out.
Yeah.
And stir this fucking idiot up.
Yeah. Also, Dennis Farina, I love the bloke, but in the courthouse, the very first time in the courthouse, I think it's at Jimmy's sentencing or whatever, you're immediately suspicious. And that's kind of like, as you said, that plays into the working through what's going on really quickly. You almost immediately, when you see that sequence, say, right, he's covering up for something, which then leads you to believe, given the cast of characters that you got to work with, that he's covering up for one of his family.
Yes.
Both of his sons are cops. Like, you sort of... And as I said, initially I was looking in the Tom Sizemore direction because he's the one that comes back onto the scene at the same time, and I just didn't think they would go with the, oh, he's not actually dead. I should have known better. But,
well, it was a by the numbers thriller.
Yes,
he should have known better indeed. The only thing that was missing, some erotica. He should have called him Joe Esterhazy into the mix.
Of course. But that's at the point where Farina is bailing, but he's kind of just on an upturned dinghy.
No, the problem is, judging by the behind the scenes, Farina's bailing and Willis is punching holes in the
exactly.
over in the corner.
Yeah.
The stuff that really got up my ass was when...
Like Brian James? Like anything's ever gotten up Brian James's ass?
I mean, Brian James was as measured as they come.
Just a level-headed character, just easygoing.
Man in charge of his emotions. I think it's fair to say.
Yes.
But when he catches Crispin going through his stuff...
Yep.
And then he kind of, the way Willis reacts, they're trying to make him a herring too.
Yeah, which kind of is just like...
It's way too late.
You already know this isn't the case. Because at that point, he's already had a phone call from him, hasn't he?
So we've already been sort of showcased the killers, and it's girls who he slept with. So why would he have done it?
Yeah. Yep.
Stupid.
Agreed.
Like, really stupid.
Agreed.
Orson Welles. He's like, asking for bringing that in.
Yeah, I think so. That was also in the point where, like, I felt they got a little sluggish, essentially, when they partnered up. From that point, you had a couple of scenes of them working through as partners, which I thought was good, like him not ticketing the guy with the grog and that sort of thing, and having a bit of a disagreement. But from the point where they jump on that ship and taking down the bloody robbery, whatever's going on
Who's
there.
robbing that barge? What
I don't know.
Oh, pulling coal or
Are you
something.
stealing fucking garbage? I thought it was a fucking...
It wasn't garbage. It was like coal or something. But the guy's going, where's the rest of the couple of $100,000? I'm thinking, what are we doing? Who's got a couple of $100,000 on a bloody... on a barge?
I don't know. But yeah, from that point, it just kind of... Like, as I said to you, that scene doesn't... To me, it doesn't really work for what I think it was trying to do. Like, it just kind of slowed things down for a few minutes. It seems like it's supposed to kind of galvanise their partnership.
It is, but it's also supposed to show the Willis action.
Willis kingship.
Hero.
Yeah. And I just felt from that point, it was from there that it started kind of meandering around, and I didn't know where it was going.
Like a drunken sailor, it seems to kind of wander.
It meandered like fucking Brian James's temperament at that point.
If I can talk about 0 to 100, there's a guy who goes from 0 to 100.
Yeah.
In fact, he's 50 to 100 because he's stuck at 50 to start with.
Well, you look at his face and you assume 50.
I mean, he looks like his head's going to explode every time he talks.
Yeah, brilliant.
And the last bit for me was the finale is just way over the top.
Oh, and it just keeps going.
Yes.
It doesn't... I mean, we go from the boats to we're on a rail at some point. Yeah. We're under the water. We're fucking everywhere.
But also, I think it should have actually just stayed... The finale should have just been on the boat. On the water.
Yeah.
And Willis dives into his boat. Crispin's driving.
Yeah.
The punch-up is on, you know.
Yeah, it could have been something like that.
And then the boat drives into a fucking pylon and explodes or something. You know,
and as you said, like the reveal and the acting... I mean, it's
really
it's
just
like
going off.
It seems like he's in like a Dick Tracy kind of...
Yeah.
You know, this type of hard-boiled sort of stuff.
He's there going, who's the greatest cup? Who's the best cup?
It's
I'm just
just
like,
lunacy.
Oh my God, stop.
Yeah.
Stop. You're making this worse.
You're making it uncomfortable for everyone.
I feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I did like the fact that Willis punches James in the face.
Yeah. That was good, actually, when he comes up and admits he's been an asshole and what you think.
Yeah, I would have said, fuck, mate. I mean, I know I rolled on someone. I think we need to just quiet it down just a smidgen.
Yeah.
Then I would have jobbed him, yeah.
Just a modicum of fucking professionalism from you would
you
be
know
nice.
What? The reporters don't want to come to these scenes anymore because all I hear is you go, screaming like a bloody lunatic.
That's right.
Oh, jeez. They think someone else is being killed.
Oh, man.
Did you have anything else you didn't like?
No, that was everything. I think we've kind of covered.
Yeah, she was pretty...
All the bits and pieces. As you said, it's probably... I would say it's better than I was expecting.
Yes, agreed. I was thinking, like, when I first started watching it, I was thinking, when I first put it out there, because we've been talking it up at work. Some reason I was crapping on about striking distance. I thought 1.5. Like, I was thinking it sucks.
Yeah.
It doesn't suck at all. In fact,
with
a it sucks to a degree.
Yes. Yeah.
But what I mean is, if you made a couple of tweaks and you didn't let Orson Willis sort of run the show, you probably would have had a much better thriller.
Yeah, I think so.
I think you would have had something a little more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So it's disappointing that it kind of went that way.
Yeah, fair to say.
But that is striking distance. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, Podomatic, and wherever you get your podcasts. Send us an email at thrillme@iinet.net.au. Like us on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia. We're at Podomatic at thrillme.podomatic.com, and we're on Instagram at thrillmepodcastau. Keep an eye on the Facebook page for details of the next film that we cover. But until then, take it easy, and we'll catch you all later. Cheers. Find the podcast at Podomatic or on iTunes. Don't forget to rate and review. Like us on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia, or contact us at thrillme, all one word, all lowercase, at iinet.net.au.